Hey, so this is the Dygma Defy. It is a ortholinear split keyboard for anybody really. They advertise it for programming, for gaming, and we're gonna talk about it. So first thing I'm gonna say is I've had it for about a month and a half. It is an awesome keyboard. This keyboard is really great. There have been some issues that I've had with it, but overall, I'm happy with it. I would buy it again. So my experience purchasing it, I went to the website. I looked at the pricing because it can get pretty steep. So hold on, let me just pull this up. All right, so here we are. It says ships in 48 hours. It does give you a couple extra keycaps. You can choose between silver or black. Pricing is the same for either of them. You can get the dashes or English. If it's your first rodeo with an ergonomic keyboard, you should probably just get the English keycap set because you're not going to know what you're doing. I certainly didn't for at least like a week before I started to get comfortable using it. Switches, I went with the Cal Silent Brown. Kale? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. But I don't like loud switches. I work in an office with another developer and I don't want to annoy him. So I just got the silent ones, plus I don't like clicky sounds. If I want to hear keyboard sounds, I'll just use Mech Vibes. Super great software. Do recommend it if you like keyboard sounds. It's not mine, but it's pretty awesome. Anyways, so I don't really need them to be loud. So extra keycaps that I didn't get any of that. I didn't add wireless. I did add the tenting because I got this because of wrist pain. And the way that I wanted it set up was basically like this, like 60-degree tenting, which is the widest that they offer, and almost like I think the widest in the market without getting into like modding your keyboard. So I would recommend tenting if you've got, I think it's like RSI is the name of it. I was starting to get wrist pain about a week beforehand, so that's why I went and purchased this. Super awesome keyboard. I think I've said that already. Shipping took a long time. It took about 20 days to get to my place. But they can't really control their shipping. They ship out of Spain, I think, and I live in like the Midwest, so kind of a long ways, but 20 days is pretty crazy. What else? Oh yeah, so I had bought only the tenting, but you might have noticed this is wireless. The reason that is because they didn't have just the tenting model. I guess not enough people buy it. So they, for free, upgraded me to the wireless model. So that's pretty sick. And honestly, if I was gonna buy it again, go with the wireless. It's a luxury that once you have, you can't go back. Super great to not have those cords all over the place when you don't need them. And I will say that the cords are pretty neat. There isn't too many, but just having them there is a lot worse than not having them there. I don't like to charge it when I can avoid charging. So would recommend getting that if you're interested in getting the Dygma Defy. Like I said, this is my first ergonomic keyboard, so I don't have any other ergonomic keyboards to, weigh it up against. I will say that some of the other keyboards, this was another keyboard that I had bought, the Verimillo Eucalyptus. Very great for quiet keyboards. If you wanted a quiet keyboard, I couldn't recommend anything more than the Verimillo, I think Melino. It's like the most silent, amazing keyboard. This thing is quiet and so satisfying to type on. Costs about $120, which is a lot cheaper than the Defy, but it comes with all the regular keyboard issues that you're gonna get with a standard keyboard. I also had tried so I had one of these Razer Huntsmans. Kind of nice, they're pretty nice, satisfying to type on, pretty responsive, but same issue as regular keyboards. And I've tried a bunch of different keyboards. This is probably like my 10th keyboard that I've purchased, but I think this might be my last keyboard that I'm going to purchase, at least for a long time, because it's really a game changer. It's so much nicer to program on this. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I'm a full-time programmer. I think I said that I work in an office with another guy. I didn't want to annoy him, but yeah, I'm a programmer, so I spend 8 hours a day typing, and then I come home and sometimes I'll work on my own projects, so I'll be typing then too. Now, let's talk about a couple of the not so great sides about this thing. First off, and probably most obvious, you're not really going to find a lot of keyboards like this, so getting used to it is a little bit of a hump. Now, because I program 8 hours a day, it took me about a week before I was comfortable programming on this. So there's a software called BaseCore. I'm not going to pull it up just yet, and I'll show you why in a reason, but BaseCore is kind of the hub that connects these and makes them programmable. And once you have base core on a machine, it will read, I think, from the device, which means once you connect it, all of the settings, I think, are on the device itself, not saved to base core or in the cloud. I think it's actually locally saved, maybe even as a JSON file. The reason I know this is because when I first got it, within a week, because I bring it to my work and then I bring it home, it got a little bit corrupted. So strangely, when I was at work, I had brought it in and I used it and I had made some changes to my configuration. I came home and then for some reason all my configurations weren't working. Switching between different gears weren't working. I call them gears. I think they're called layers. One Piece fan, so I call them gears. Anyways, so yeah, switching between gears didn't work and it had stopped being correct. It just started being wrong, and so I had to factory reset it. I went online to like the base core support, and I had to look to see like what solutions there were, and factory resetting it using like a default JSON setting, loading it in worked, and then I had to reconfigure it, which was a little bit annoying. I reached out to support and they couldn't really do anything because, I mean, what are they going to do? It's not really a lot that they can do. Warranty, 2 years, I believe. 2 years, well, it's not 2 years warranty. It's like 2 years, 2 years warranty. It's not 2 years returns, it's 2 years warranty, I'm pretty sure. So you can return it within, well, not return it, you can get support on it if something goes wrong. You get a warranty, so they'll come, they won't come. You can ship it to them, they'll fix it, and they'll send it back to you, I think for free. I don't know if you have to pay for shipping. I haven't had to worry about that so far. Here's why I haven't showed base core yet. Because if you look here, you can see these are kind of green. The switch colors are a little bit green. It might look pretty white, but let me compare it to this one. Can you see the difference now? Sometimes this happens, and there's no documentation on this happening on the official like Digma stuff that I've seen. And this was one of the issues. Like sometimes they get out of sync. And they were like, hey, we don't think that, can you send some pictures to prove it? Well, here's my proof. I could make a ticket, but it's not that big of a deal to me because all I have to do is boot up base core and it'll be back in sync. But as you can see, this one is a little bit light green, this one is white, from an old configuration that I had. An old configuration I had this on the third layer, and I changed it since then. So this is the first layer right now, and it's still showing that green. So what's going on? I don't know. I didn't design the software. It's great software, but I didn't design it, so I don't know what exactly happened. So now let's get into base core, and I'm willing to venture it'll probably fix itself when I open base core. So it didn't connect. It's showing that they're both white, even though this one, the right side, is in fact green. So if I go white and then I click apply and then save, yep, now they've both updated to white. So it doesn't happen often, but does happen. Another thing that I sometimes get a little bit annoyed about is the tenting. So the tenting is great when you have it set up, but the issue is like you lift it up and as you can see, they fall out of place super quick. They just fall out of place. And sometimes when you set them back down, it might shift a step because you lift it up, you move it, you set it down, and then it's like off. Sometimes that happens and that can be annoying. Stabilizers are good. I think that they stabilize it very well. Some of the issues that I have is when I'm typing on them. Let me turn the camera down a little bit. Okay. So when I'm typing on them, I can't say it'll focus. All right, there we go. Over time, as I'm typing, they'll get slowly they'll push together until I have to spread them back apart, and then eventually over time, as I'm typing, they'll get closer and closer together, which is fairly annoying. Because you set them up. So usually I have them set like this at 60 degrees. So like this, and then like this. Don't forget to put your stabilizers down, otherwise you will not be having a good time. These are the stabilizers, by the way. How you do it is pretty simple. It'll come like this. So you pop this down, and then you can assign whatever tenting that you need, and they're also marked. So yeah. All right, so I'll be typing like this, over time, and as I put pressure, like this is just standard pressure, even though I have a mouse pad down, they're getting moved in a little bit. Now I don't know exactly how they can combat that because that is a tricky thing to tackle, but it is something that isn't working properly, and I feel the need to mention it because if you buy it for the tinting, you will experience this. I don't know if there are better solutions other than just nailing it, or they have mounting kits like here, so you can mount it to something if you're hardcore about that. but since I bring them to and from work every single day, I need to not do that. Otherwise I have to buy 2, and that's over $1,000. Can't afford that. All right, so let's get into a typing test. I'm not gonna claim to be the best typer. I do program, so I'd probably score higher if it was Next.js code, but it's not, so let's see how bad of a typer I am. Heh. It's not even focused in. That's crazy. All right. One would assume that American black bears come. Crap. Alright, let's see what I got. Per minute, 97%, 2 typos. Pretty alright, I guess. I think I'd give it an 8 because there's still some issues, you know, like the sliding. Sometimes base core gets out of sync. And I've had a little bit of trouble a couple times, and I think it's starting to be a little more frequent now with the left pad. Sometimes like the charging is not the same. I charge these both the same at the same time. This one right here always dies faster than this one. Don't know why. But hey, it's really complicated. It's a complicated machine, but it's very comfortable to type on, and it's satisfying to type on. So would I recommend it? Yes. Should you buy it? Up to you. That's my review on the Dygma Defy. Hope you enjoyed it, or hopefully it was useful.